Hi there, it's Kevin with Roguedeckbuilder.com here with a special video. This is going to be an unboxing of From the Vaults. This one is Annihilation, which I have Chloe here, the little hyper dog that is perfect for this because she is a little annihilator. This is my puppy. Just thought I'd introduce it to the channel. See, she's already chewing on my thumb. We're going to get rid of her. Go play with her bear. But anyway, this is just going to be a video on the From the Vaults Annihilation, what I think about it, what its MSRP, I believe, is going for $35.99. And I'll talk about the value, what I think it will stabilize at, and what the current value of all the prices TCG low is. I've already looked that up. But anyway, I just thought I'd unbox it, so we'll go over it. It does have some cards in here that before the unboxing were quite expensive. Some of those were from the Portals, second and third edition. The Portals 3 Kingdoms and something else. So there are some cards. What happens with these super rare cards, though, is when they are printed in a box set like this, they dramatically decrease because it's low supply and low demand. When there's a card that has low supply and low demand, they can get quite pricey. But whenever there is any sort of influx of, I mean, each game store is going to get a half dozen of these, and that's going to increase that many copies into the pool of cards that people are trying to get these. A lot of these are commander playable. So anyway, let's just go ahead and unbox this, and I'll talk about, piece by piece what I think about the From the Vaults Annihilation. All right, so here's again a close-up of the box. It comes in this nice little windowed box. Again, the MSRP is around, it's either $35.99 or $39.99 around there. So it does have its value in it right now. I've looked these cards up on TCG. Low, what they're currently being sold at, and the total comes to right around $100. That again is using the low on TCG. And a good rule of thumb with TCG low is after about a couple weeks, or a month or two, it's going to stabilize about 40%. So it's going to be worth around the $60 to $70 range of value of cards. So if you can pick these up at 35 to 40 bucks from your local game store, go ahead and do them. Most of the game stores are going to adjust the price up to the value of what the cards are going to be. And I think that's very appropriate for game stores. What happens if the game store doesn't make a profit on it, then what you have is just your local sharks that are come and snag these up for the MSRP and then eBay them for a lot more. So I'd rather have the local game stores make money than these people that are just going to eBay them. What I really like to see is when local game stores put these out for tournaments, because then it stays in the players' hands rather than in the investors' hands, which, it's a necessary evil in Magic the Gathering is the people that do a lot of the buying and selling. But anywho, let's go ahead and unbox this, and I'll try to be as delicate as possible. I can feel, it just opens up nicely like that, a little magnetic thing on the side, so you can just pull out the case here. So this does have a few chase cards that have been reprinted. I have a list here, I have a cheat sheet of the prices of, I did have a cheat sheet of the prices. Maybe not anymore. I'll have to look that up again of what cards are worth the most. I think Rolling Earthquake is the chase card here, going around $25. That is, and then there's a lot of like 8, 7, 8, 5, 7, 6, there's what, 15 cards in here? There we go, this opens, so you get a dice. I don't know how I feel about this dice. It's kind of, the problem I have with some of these dice is when the lettering isn't very easy to distinguish from the dice. So it's red text on orange, which is kind of cool. I don't know. I think that the red could have been more prominent here. But anyway, you're not buying it for the dice. Comes with this nice little poster of, I believe, all the cards. It's just going to be a poster of the From the Vaults. It's going to have all the cards on the back and the stories behind the cards. So it's going to say why they chose to put these cards in the particular set. So anyway, the artwork on these are pretty good. The one problem I do have with some of these collectors is some of these foils tend to bend a lot easier than, they go on a different print run. I don't know where these specialized sets are printed, but a lot of times they're not printed in the same place that the regular box sets are printed. So sometimes the quality, like again, these are right out of the box and they are slightly bent. But so I'm just going to box this for you. And the first pack is a Wrath of God. This card, of course, is near and dear to my heart, as it was one of the chase cards when I first started playing in Revised. Everyone wanted a Wrath of God. It was very powerful back then. Even as casual players, we knew how powerful it was. My friend tended to play a green deck, and that was my way to actually come back against his Force of Natures, was the Wrath of God. So I'm glad they imprinted this in there. It's a great modern card as well. This one is a Heliod alternate art here. Pretty sweet. We have a Child of Alara. I didn't play during this time. I don't know if, yeah, Child of Alara, I guess, can see play is a legendary creature in Commander. There is a market for that. And again, this is pretty art here. The foils are very foily on this. A Decree of Annihilation, not a bad card. And, oh, Chloe's going to try to, there we go. And then Fire Spout's actually kind of cool. Fire Spout is, it deals 3 damage to each creature without flying if red was spent, and 3 damage to each creature with green, or if green was spent. If you use both red and green, it does 3 damage to each of them. So it's kind of like an Anger of Gods, but it can be a one-sided depending on how you build it. Like if you go up against fairies, you can completely board wipe them and not kill your own creatures. Fire Spout, again, sees a limited amount of play in Modern. I wouldn't say a lot. This Fracturing Gust is a card that started to see more and more play in Modern. It destroys all artifacts and enchantments, and you gain 2 life. I've seen it in a few decks. Again, the 5 mana is a bit of an issue. That it's two in either triple green or triple white or the hybrid of them. But this is a Commander staple. And recently, this thing spiked up in price like crazy because most every green-white deck in Commander is going to put that in there. Because, of course, artifacts, in Commander, there's nothing worse than artifacts and enchantments. There's a lot of like degenerate combos and whatnot, so this is your go-to if you're in those colors. So far, the first pack had some pretty sweet cards here. A lot of people are upset that Damnation wasn't in the box set, and there's some speculation that since it's not in the box set, they were going to see it in the next set in the one of the Khans of Tarkir or Warlords of Tarkir set. And I think that's a pretty good assumption, as Damnation does need to see a reprint. It's starting to see a lot more play in some of the modern decks. There's a Cruel Control deck going around in Modern that uses 4 of Damnations. So anyway, here's the Rolling Earthquake. This is the chase card. It's currently going for around 25 on TCG Low. This deals X damages to each creature without horsemanship in each player. Well, there's very few cards that don't have horse, or that do have horsemanship, but especially I don't think there's any in Legacy that really use it. So I do believe that Rolling Earthquake does see a lot of Legacy play in. It does to each player as well, so Burn does like it. So we have a Smokestack here. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a suit counter on Smokestack. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a permanent for each suit counter. This is a good Commander card. In fact, I kind of like it in my Teysa deck, as I have so many tokens that I can just keep throwing to Smokestack. But it gets handled a lot of the times in Commander. There's so many ways to just get rid of artifacts. Terminus. This sees a ton of play in both, well, it sees a little bit of play in Modern, but it sees a ton of play in the Legacy Miracle deck. So I'm expecting this card to continue to go up in value. So this is a great little pickup because, again, this might be the foil version that the Legacy players tend to like to foil out their decks because it's a non-rotating deck. And, of course, Legacy players have the money for the cards, so they like to pimp it out. Virtue's Ruin sees a little bit of sideboard play in Legacy. Destroys all white creatures. Upheaval, great Commander card. Return all permanents to their owner's hand. It is sorcery speed, but 6 mana, it's permanent, so that means lands are going back. I did play during Upheaval, and this card could be a blowout. You could have your opponent overextend, and you just hold back stuff. And if you had a way to like cheat out lands, like even like Exploration or ways to put out more lands, you can then start back in the race of I mean, it just completely resets the game. Does not reset life totals, but basically resets everything else. And again, if your opponent overextends, you can make them discard a lot of cards, even though you're doing it on your turn at sorcery speed. So last pack here is going to have Living Death. Living Death is a definitely fun Commander card. Each player X's all creature cards on the battlefield and returns all creatures from graveyards onto the battlefield. And since it's being exiled, nothing's destroyed, nothing's targeting the graveyard. And I don't know if this sees much play outside of Commander. Of course, it's Living End that's the one in Modern that sees a lot of play. We have Martial Coup. Martial Coup says put X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens on the battlefield. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. So for 7 mana, you can have 5 1/1s and destroy all other creatures. Not a bad card. Sorcery speed. It's a little bit slow. This is a card that I might want to put in my Teysa deck as well. Now here's good old Cataclysm. Cataclysm is 4 mana, 2 and 2 white. Each player chooses from among the permanents she controls an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, a land, and sacrifice the rest. Again, you can really have a one-sided board wipe. Say you only have one creature. Let's see, enchantment. So one land that has, like, maybe I have a kangaroo land out, if you have an artifact that produces lands, you have a creature that maybe, or an artifact that produces mana, a creature that produces mana, you can be way ahead in the race. Again, if your opponent overextends, this is a one-sided blowout. Very, very fun card. And then we have good old Armageddon. This card was one of the very first cards banned back then it was, I don't know if it was considered even standard, but Armageddon was very degenerate, destroying all lands. Again, you make your opponent overextend. You play artifacts, they don't. You have the ways to produce mana, they do not. Magic wanted to move away from cards like Armageddon as they considered it, land destruction, to be the most unfun of things to play against. And here was another card that used to be worth a lot of money that has decreased a lot because of the reprinting here in this. And this is Burning of Xinye. You destroy 4 lands you control, then target opponent destroys 4 lands he or she controls, then Burning Xing deals 4 damage to each creature. So again, for 6 mana, that's not bad. It's kind of like a wildfire. Yeah, but you each get to choose. Yeah, it really is like that, but it was just such a limited print that made it very expensive. Again, what happens when low supply and low demand gets a reprint, that's going to affect prices more than basically anything, because if there's low demand and high supply, it's already going to be low, and if there's going to be high demand and high supply, then it's like Thoughtseize, it's going to even out. But of course, the only other thing and then if it's going to be low supply and high demand, then of course prices are going to skyrocket. All right, we're back here anyway. We had this little terror decide to want to sabotage the video and unplug the mic. So anyway, just I really think this is a good pickup. Again, if you can get it for your $35 or $30 or $40 MSRP, go for it. I think this is a great. I really like this one. I think I actually like it more than From the Vaults 20. From the Vaults 20 was just a bunch of decent cards with one chase card. This is a well-rounded variety of cards. Again, a lot of people were disappointed Damnation wasn't here, but maybe we shouldn't jump the gun. Maybe they're planning on a reprint of Damnation. And a lot of flavor in these cards. This is great for Commander. I mean, these are all perfect cards for Commander. So if you're this is what I suggest for local game stores: do a Commander tournament and give these out. That way you can pay for the MSRP at least that way, and actually give it to players that want it, rather than people that are just going to be buying and reselling them on eBay. Or like last time, I remember from the Vaults or the Realms, and then the Commander's Arsenal. Even places like Star City Games were paying obscene amounts of money for them, so all the local game stores were just selling them off to Star City. So I hope this doesn't happen with this again. Using the prices right now on TCG, it's worth about $100, and giving it about, I say, 2 or 3 months, that's going to level out about $60. So anyway, good pickup. Hope you enjoyed this video. Excuse the little terror here. This has been Kevin with Roguedeckbuilder.com. Thanks for watching.